If this does happen to you, there are certain steps that are really important to take. Number one, get medical attention immediately, get emergency medical care, because these drugs can be very dangerous and they can have very harmful effects. So if it happens to you, or it happens to a friend, or it happens to someone that you see in a social environment or a party, if you think they've been drugged, call the paramedics, get them to an emergency hospital so they can get the medical attention they need. It's also really important in terms of evidence to have a urine test, because these drugs are much more likely to be found, traces of the drug, in urine than in a blood test. And across the country, most rape kits and most protocols for doing rape exams have not included urine tests. They are more likely to include blood tests. So it's really important to make sure that you get a urine test done wherever you get the medical care. We're doing evidence exams in these cases in the same time frames that we normally do sexual assault exams, which is up to 72 hours in most places after an assault. So we don't know exactly how long these drugs stay in your system, because we need to see more cases to really be sure, and it depends how much you ingested and your body weight. There are a lot of factors that influence that, but you should ask for an exam and seek an exam up to 72 hours and maybe even 96 hours after you think that you were given these kinds of drugs. Well, we don't really have statistics or numbers about these cases because they're not being separately documented in rape statistics in most places in the country. But what we do know is that if you go into a high school, or you go on a college campus, or you talk to other groups of young people, that they know about these drugs. They know people who've been given these drugs, and it seems to be a common, familiar experience. So I think that they're more prevalent than we would like to imagine.
I've sent where a guy actually took pictures while he would be raping these girls. I couldn't believe it. They even drugged the boyfriend to try to get him thrown into the car just so they could rape his girlfriend.
Well, like all sexual assaults, males can be victims too, and we've had male victims here at the Rape Treatment Center of druggings and sexual assault. The drugs are fairly accessible and fairly cheap and easy to get, so they can be used anywhere, in a big city, in a small town, in a rural or urban area.
The date rape drugs are prevalent. They're probably in every community in the United States.
In terms of prevention and safety and taking care of yourself and watching out for your friends, is that a lot of times I think people's tendency is, if they see someone who looks drunk, to let them sleep it off and think that they'll be okay after they get some rest. In these kinds of cases, you don't want to just leave someone alone and let them sleep it off. You really want to get them to a medical facility for emergency care.
So don't be afraid. Do call us immediately if this happens. Don't wait another minute. Call us as soon as possible.
I have been really careful. Every time me and my friends go to clubs or anywhere like that, we always try to make sure to take care of each other. We always keep an eye on each other's drinks. We get a drink, we keep it with us, and then we don't mess with it. If we're going to go out on the dance floor, we don't bother to get a drink and then just set it down on the table. We make sure to take care of each other and to see that nothing happens to us. You know, friends have to do that for each other nowadays. It's getting bad.
Yo, to all you dudes out there, don't take advantage of women. Girls, chicks, whatever. You don't need to be as lame as use drugs to get your way.
I think that one of the differences that we see in victims of this kind of sexual assault compared to victims of other kinds of sexual assault is that for most rape victims, we know that a significant and very distressing part of the trauma afterwards is that they can't forget about what happened. You know, they have intrusive memories, they have nightmares, they have flashbacks. They're very preoccupied with the trauma. They relive it, they rethink it, you know, they go over it and over it again. But for victims of rape drugs, the trauma is that they can't remember, not that they can't forget what happened. So it's a very profound feeling of powerlessness because you don't know what was done to you. You don't know how many people participated. You don't know how many people watched. So the shame and the powerlessness are very extreme. Well, victims of rape drugs can seek help from rape crisis centers and the same kinds of agencies and programs that offer services to sexual assault victims in other kinds of circumstances. Many of them are educated and informed and prepared to handle these kinds of cases and to be helpful to victims of this unique kind of crime.
Be aware of your resources, your law enforcement, your medical people, your victims advocates. These are all out there and available to you, and we're here ready to help you, in the event that you may need this help.
This is a very underreported kind of sexual assault and criminal violence because the victim often feels like she won't be believed or she doesn't have enough evidence to present to the police. She's not sure what happened.
People, don't hesitate to report this crime. If you've been the victim, then please tell someone. I know it's going to be very difficult because you feel violated. Your self-esteem is going to be low. You're going to be afraid. You're going to be afraid that the rapist is going to come back and hurt you again. But don't be afraid to contact someone and let them know.
Well, a lot of rape drug cases happen in situations that are familiar to us. Social situations where you're with people that you feel like you can trust. So there's a sense of betrayal, and it's very hard for victims to know what to do afterwards because they wake up feeling foggy. Some of these drugs have hangover effects, so you feel kind of numb, and you just don't feel like yourself. You don't feel right, and your memory has been affected by the drug. It's not that trauma has affected your memory. The drugs really have an effect on memory. So there's a real reluctance and a reticence to report, and we want to encourage anyone who's a victim of this kind of criminal violence to come forward and get help and report these crimes so we can stop them. In most states in this country, having sex with someone who can't consent or can't resist is rape.
This person who has done this to you, it's probably not the first time, and it won't be the last unless you assist law enforcement in prosecuting this person. It's very important that this person is stopped and helped.
It's been 3 years since my rape. I've learned once again how to have a happy, normal life. Unfortunately, date rape drugs still exist. Please pay attention to this video. Please learn from it. Guys and girls, watch each other's drinks, watch each other's backs. Let's put an end to date rape drugs. Thank you.